Coming to you from Charlottesville, Virginia, WillowTalk. With your hosts, Andrew Carter and Ben Frye. Today's topic, Charles Proxy.
Good old Charles. Whoa. There we go.
What's going on?
All right. Okay. All right. So we're doing our vlog today about Charles Proxy. What is a proxy? A proxy is a thing that sits between your computer, your iPhone, whatever your client is, and a server for network communication. And it's a way to inspect what the server is sending back, what you're sending to the server. It's basically like a man in the middle of yourself. Is that a good?
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is. All right, so that's what it is. The proxy of our choice is Charles Proxy. And we've had really good luck using it here at WillowTree for doing, we do a lot of work with APIs that our clients have, and it's a great way to help debug or to make sure you're doing something correct or just overall see what the heck's going on with your app. So for our examples here, we're going to use our good buddy Alien Blue here to show you, we'll inspect the network traffic basically of Alien Blue. We'll be able to look and see how they make API requests, how they handle the response, what happens when you tap on certain UI elements. Overall, just a great way to dig into the app and see how it works from the network standpoint. So the first thing I wanted to do is just kind of show off just the general interface of Charles. So it's a good old classic Java application, so it's got that nice clunky interface we all know and love. By default, it's got this structure view, which does this thing. We'll show you like what's happening on a host by host basis. But generally when we're using this, it's more of a like what happened in a given order. So the sequence view gives you a much better idea of like as things happen, we can scroll through and see, you know, when I tapped on this, what happened after that, what happened after that, so on. So in this app, for example, let's go ahead and just do a little pull to refresh here, and you'll see some Alien Blue things going on, some Reddit things going on. So like as we're interacting with the app here, we can see more and more content popping into it. And what's nice is we can click on it. So we can filter by the endpoint that we care about. So in this case, we'll look at anything from Reddit. So here's like just the API call real quick of how it got the, this will be the front page. You can look and see the request. Here's our, our queries we've got going on, overview of what we did. There's the response of what we got back. And it does a nice job like formatting the JSON text for you. You can even view it in more of kind of like a directory tree structure. Cool, yeah, which is awesome. So just that's kind of a general look at what Charles does as a like general overview. But what's cool with it is when you get into actually manipulating things and kind of digging into making different things happen. So Ben will show us some cool stuff at Breakpoints here.
Yeah, so that's it gets really cool when you can start doing debugging stuff with it. You can use this to debug what you want. So, for example, this is not a simulator. Let's pull this down to get a thing. And then if we look over here,
let's go to a certain subreddit.
Yeah, that might help.
Let's do Ask Science.
Okay. So we will see all this stuff coming from Alien Blue, and then we'll see this guy right here, where they're actually asking, they're requesting to send back 25 articles from Ask Science. So one of the cool things that you can do is you can actually set a breakpoint on these requests, and then anytime that request happens, the app, Charles will actually stop the response before it sends off or before it receives, and then you can edit the request or the response. So we can go in here and we can actually change this 25 to, let's say, 1 entry. And then now this should return us 1 entry instead of 25. So we execute that when it comes through.
There it goes.
So there.
Cool. Okay, we got the stickies at the top.
Yeah, it got the stickies at the top. So that's one way to do it, is to sort of edit stuff that's coming from your app before it goes to the API to see how the API would respond to it.
Can we change the response also?
Yeah, we can do that as well.
I guess let me have it go again. Does it keep our breakpoint? There it goes.
Yeah, but I think this is going to...
This is the request.
Just have the request side.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. So here's the response that came back. So now we can actually go into the response that they sent back and see the JSON text that got sent back. And so let's say,
So there's a title right there. Let's see if we can get that guy.
Yeah, where's the title? Right here. Okay, so Ask Science Panel, Scientist 13, whatever this says. So we can just change that to whatever we want it to be, like Hello World. And then execute, and what will come back will have that packet instead of what the server actually responded. So once that hits the app, there it is.
Awesome.
So there's the sticky thing, the thing that I changed the title of is Hello World now instead of whatever it was a minute ago. Something about the 13. So that's breakpoints, which I've found really useful. Another thing that I've used breakpoints for is sort of reordering the timing of responses coming back. So I had a bug once where I would send off a request for one thing, and I'd send off a second request, and before the first request came back, the second request would come back, and it would mess up the data in the app.
So you can force things to...
So what I would do is I would put a breakpoint on the one that was taking longer to come back so that I could recreate it, because I was having issues recreating it actually in the app. And I would just let it sit there until the other one came back, and then I'd tell it to execute.
Right, that's a good point. So you can not only muck with responses, but if you wanted to recreate some kind of scenario that's, you've got some sort of bug that happened, either you had bad network connectivity or the server was down or something, you can kind of fake the app and to get into that scenario and easier to reproduce bugs.
Yeah, it's good for reproducing hard to reproduce bugs, is what I would say. It's like, it lets you do things that, rather than just waiting on the timing of it to happen in the app, you can just make it happen. Right. Which is nice.
Which will save a ton of time. So one other kind of thing with the debugging. So let's say you are debugging something and you have these breakpoints set. You want to keep on editing the response, but you don't want to have to deal with that breakpoint every single time. There's another cool trick you can do. So let's say we want to keep that hello world there, but we don't have to go through and actually edit it. We're working on some sort of bug, and we want the response to remain altered to our locking.
Be that, basically.
So what we can do here, so let's look at our response. Let me grab the JSON text. So I think this will even have our altered version. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't. No. Okay. So I'm going to copy the JSON here.
One, the one we only asked for one.
Let's copy the one we changed. Okay. So here's the one that we changed. There we go. So there's our hello world. I'm going to select all and copy on this guy and just open up Sublime, which I think I've got installed. Sure do. So I'm going to take this response and we're going to save it to a file. And we'll just pop it on the desktop for good measure here. Let's call it like response.json. Beautiful. Okay. So now what we can do is, instead of getting this response from the server, if I right click this guy, I can go to map local, and I've got a chance to take any kind of endpoint that I want. And it's not just like this one specific endpoint. You can put in stars, wildcards, and that way you can kind of do a more blanket. But in our case, we'll take exactly this. Let's do this. Let's do limit. Let's do anything for the query. Doesn't matter what you ask for. And then we're going to map this to a local file. So instead of going to the server to get this from Reddit, it's just going to grab it right from our computer. So let's turn off the breakpoint. If I can hit it.
There you go.
Does that do it? There we go. All right, cool. So let's refresh this page. And then again, even though we don't have a breakpoint set, once it finishes loading, our hello world is still there. So it's a good way, as many times as I want, I can keep on refreshing this guy. One thing to keep in mind is that it's not going to turn off until you tell it to turn off. So I've had a lot of experiences where I'll be debugging some sort of problem, then I'll go out to get lunch or something, and I'll come back, and I'll be working on the app, and I'm like, why does this thing keep not working? And it turns out that I've got this map local still turned on. So watch yourself there, and it's easy to get yourself mixed up.
That is one of the nice things about the breakpoint way, is it pops up in your face every time. It's hard to ignore.
So we'll go ahead and take care of getting rid of that, if I can learn how to use a computer really quick. Map local, there we go. Cool, so let's just remove both of those. So in addition to mapping local, one other neat thing I'd like to show off is mapping remote. So this can be useful for a few different things. Like if you've got, let's say we were also working on a Reddit client, and they were working on a new API that didn't exist yet, and wanted to kind of make a mock API. We can map real API calls to our mock API. But what I find myself using this for more often is kind of, again, tricking ourselves to getting into situations that are hard to get into normally. Like, let's say that we're working with a Reddit client and we want to test what happens if the server goes down. Well, we can't call up Reddit and be like, yo, can you shut down your servers a little bit? Because we want to test. We got to test our app out. We can remote map to an awesome website that's http://stat.us. So this is cool where you can any kind of status that you want to get back, you can mock. So let's do like internal server error, for example, here. So it'll be http://stat.us/500. What we can do is head back into Charles. So I'm going to again right click this guy, and instead of map local, I'm going to do map remote. And you can just paste right there into the host part. It'll take care of the rest for you. Not 100% sure what preserve host header does. We'll leave that guy alone. So now, in theory, if we refresh, we should get the 500 error, and let's see what Alien Blue does. Looks like there's nothing to see here. Great. So they didn't really do that good of a job handling it, but something happened. But you can see here, like if you wanted to, maybe test a authentication error, or maybe a duplicate post status, or any kind of, anything that's kind of a hard to make the server do sort of deal, you can force it to do it with this map remote feature. And I've had a lot of really good luck using that. Another thing, like so Ben mentioned earlier, where you want to test his like race condition kind of thing, where maybe if you're in like a bad network connection kind of situation, a lot of us in our offices when we're testing and making our apps, we've got like super good internet connection. We're testing like always on internet, but sometimes you don't have the best internet connection. So is there a way we can use Charles to help out with that?
There sure is. So you can turn on throttling in Charles is what they call it, and it's kind of like Mac has.
The network link conditioner.
Yeah, the network link conditioner, which will throttle all of your internet on your computer. One of the nice things about using Charles to do this is you can do very specific routes. You don't have to do all of your network traffic. So if you're constantly checking sort of how slow network would react, or your app would react in a slow network environment, but you still want to be able to use your internet on the side, or you just want to test certain routes coming back, you can do that here. So you basically, again, you just... What's one we can do?
I think just ssl.reddit.com, and that should hit everybody.
There we go. So
just whatever is cool.
Star.
Yeah.
Star. Okay, so now we got that guy on there, and we can. There's a bunch of presets that they have. You can set your own, but let's pretend like we're on a 56K modem right now. Like it's 1994.
All right, so we'll do a refresh, and what we should see is the request should work. We should actually be able to see, like you've got it there. We can look and see it coming in.
It's trying to connect.
Yep.
Oh, it did its get. It's still coming.
And there you go.
And there you go. Now it came back.
So it took a while.
Yeah.
And that's great for testing, like, your 3G. It was cool they had, like, cell phone connections, so, like, 3G or LTE or whatever.
Yep.
So this is great for any kind of unideal network testing.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So it's cool. They've actually got some real life, 3G, 4G, 56K.
And then you can go in and manipulate this too if you want. And you can change these different stats to try and make it even worse if you want. But
and they've also, it's not just the speed of the network; it's all like stability there. Mm-hmm. So you can have it drop packets and that kind of stuff. So you can really, simulate those really bad conditions.
Yep.
One more thing we can show you here. So another thing that's happening if you're working with a client that's maybe developing an API, or maybe you're very new to this API, you're not sure if you're using it correctly, is there's a lot of communication back and forth of, hey, I was trying this and this didn't work. He doesn't really know what you did. You don't really know what you're supposed to get back. They've got some really cool tools for kind of helping you communicate what you're seeing with the API. So let's take this front page call right here. If we right click it, they've got this publish gist feature. Here we go. So this is really, really cool. If you hook up your GitHub account, you can actually have it be a private gist on your GitHub account, but this will just be a nice public one here. We can look and see the full requests that we're sending and the full response we're getting back. So this is cool to put in like your Jira tickets, or maybe whatever kind of chat you're doing back and forth with your API guys. They'll know exactly what you're sending. They can help you out, and if you're seeing an error, you can help them be able to reproduce it or see what problem you're having by having it right there. In addition, if you want them to be able to kind of run the request you're sending, they've also got a where is it? Curl response right here, or request. So you just copy curl request, and let's open a terminal. So now, in big in the font, there we go. So you'll see what it's done here. It's got all the headers, all the cookies, everything we're doing, and we can just go ahead and run the request exactly as it'd be done from our phone. And again, this is a super great tool for your working with people making APIs, because because you can send them, if you've got some sort of bug, you can say, hey, here's exactly what I did, and then while they're debugging and fixing it, they can just kind of exactly mimic the request that you're doing, which is awesome. So do we have any other cool tips or tricks with Charles?
I think those are the big ones.
So it's a pretty cheap. I think it's like it's like $30 or $40. You can get it from charlesproxy.com. Just hit the website real quick here. So they kind of do a good idea if you need to just kind of get a good overview of what all it's, this little features thing they have here on the side. We were joking earlier. It's like, this is basically what we're talking about right here. It's, you can support SSL. You can, man in the middle of yourself there to see what's going on. You can review all the contents. You can simulate things. Definitely saves a ton of time. Oh yeah, statistics. You can do things like maybe do a session of your app, and then it'll tell you how much data you downloaded and uploaded. So you can do like, profiling kind of things with it. and again,
so even more than what we're talking
right,
about.
even more than how we know how to use it. But again, like finding bugs quickly, this is awesome. So I've saved so much time the past year using Charles, working with a very, very big API. Without this tool, it would have taken me a lot longer.
This is a tool that's always up on my computer,
Oh, yeah.
and all my network traffic during the day is running through it. It's that useful.
It's great. So that's Charles. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up, and we can give you some answers. Definitely recommend checking it out. All right, that's a big 10-4.